Welcome back. This series, we're covering 20 key activities to guarantee successful employee onboarding. I will leave a link in the description to the playlist for the prior videos. You may hear me reference a couple of those because they kind of tie in, but again, there'll be a link in the description. Before we get started, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and click the alert button so you're notified of future content that comes out. And feel free to share this video series with anybody that might need to hear it. Number 12, we're covering number 12 and number 11. Provide the expected working hours. So in this environment, and things are changing drastically based on, the changes that have taken place this past year or so, make sure that it's clearly stated, and even in the interview ahead of time, what the expected working hours. And I know that that's going to vary from manager to manager. I tend to be an early bird. I get up pretty early in the morning and start my day fairly early also. Not everybody operates like that, right? I'm not one of those guys that's going to be sending emails 1 o'clock in the morning because I get up early, manage my day, and basically get things set up. And, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do about that at 1 o'clock in the morning in terms of responding to an email that you're sending. It'll have to wait until the morning. But not everybody operates like I do. I get that. I understand that. But you need to, basically share what the expected working hours are. If there's flex time, a lot of times, companies will say the mandatory hours are from 9:30 to 3:30. And so those early birds can get started and, call it a day earlier than everybody else. And those guys that like to, gals that like to roll in a little bit, at the crack of noon, just joking, but you know who you are. Then you can, also make sure that you have that coverage that's needed, right? And then if people are leaving early or are getting in early, make sure that you communicate to the different stakeholders on your team in terms of if you're reaching somebody, towards later in the day and nobody's around, here's who you should reach out to. But also, obviously, everybody has a cell phone these days, right? It's not where we're like in the old days where we have these big bricks that we're, carrying around that have these extended cords. Everybody pretty much has a cell phone. Everybody should be able to be contacted if there's an emergency, and you should have that team contact list as well. And then also in the signatures of your emails. A lot of ways to get around that to support this. Again, I don't dictate to people who like to work on that later end because I don't want to be forced to do that. And, I hope the same respect and courtesy is provided to me for being an early bird. So anyway, provide that up front just so everybody knows what the expectations are. Communicate is really what the bottom line is. Number 11, review the company holiday and PTO expectations and the processes, right? This is important, especially with a new employee who's coming in, and I like to basically give a heads up to the, my new employer. Hey, I have some planned family vacation scheduled for here. Is this going to be an issue? Is this something I need to work out? Because again, there might be releases or go lives or, important milestones for different projects or, things that are going on at work that may, conflict with that. So the earlier that you can communicate, those holidays, and then also, any key milestones that might need to be considered, do that up front as soon as possible. And then also what the PTO expectations are. Some managers are good with you saying, yeah, just let me know a couple days in advance. Some managers and teams, because they're resource constrained, need to know as far in advance as possible, from a billing standpoint, as well as just from a preparation and project standpoint. But it's not up to the new employee and the new hire to know what that is, right? And if there's different, things that you want to see done in terms of how they update their Outlook in terms of auto responses and, who their coverage is and contact and things like that, let them know. And then let them know who else they need to include in that out of office notification, or if as they're blocking out their calendar, which is another thing people need to do, right? If you're not going to be available and have PTO, make sure you block out your calendar so people aren't dropping meetings on your calendar, especially if you know enough in advance to do that. And it shows as out of office, and make sure you click that alert in Outlook as well. But again, these are things that you need to share, with the employee and new hire, because they don't know. And it may vary from manager to manager as well. But these are just some things that I think help in terms of clearing the air, making sure the employee is not guessing in terms of what that looks like, and then also helps with a successful onboarding experience, which hopefully leads to retention. So we're going to get going here to the next video in just a short second. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, click the alert button, and share this video series with anybody you might you think might benefit from hearing this, and then I'll leave that playlist description link in the description below, the playlist link in the description below. We'll talk to you at the next video.